Each morning, we as Jews read as part of our morning service that there are certain mitzvot whose reward cannot be measured. And one of them that is listed is Levayat Hamet, which our book translates as consoling the bereaved. We come into this space to be with Alan's family, to bring them consolation, to bring them comfort, to be present with them, recognizing the sacredness of this moment and the task that is before us. I would ask if you have a mobile phone in your pocket, and if you have not already done so, and even if you have already done so, I would ask that you check anyway to go ahead and silence it now. In doing so, this allows us to be fully present and fully attentive to Alan's family's needs. Thank you.
Shaviti Adonai lenegdi tamid ki mimini bolemot lachen samach libi vayakir kivodi af bisari yishkon lavetach ki lo toizoiv nafshi lisho lo titen chasid chalirot shachat toideini orachayim orachayim sova simachot et panecha neimot bamin chanetzach shaviti Adonai lenegdi tamid ki mimini polemot.
Death has taken our beloved Alan. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Alan's love that united us in life and which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death.
From Psalm 15. God, who may live in your house, who may dwell on your holy mountain, those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth in their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them, or bring shame upon them, who give their word, and come what may, do not retract, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes, those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Psalm 23.
Adonai roi lo echsor bino asher yorbitzeni al mei menuchot al mei menuchot Aleini nafshi yeshovev yeshovev yancheni b'maglei tzedek yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo Kan kilech b'gitz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivticha u'mishantecha hema yenachamuni Taroch lefanai shulchan neged tzorirai dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya ach tov chesed yidivuni koyemei chayai koyemei Vishavti bivit Adonai liorech yamin. I roi lo echsar Adonai roi lo echsar.
Please recite the English of Psalm 23 with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. God leads me in right paths for the sake of God's name. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. Words by Rabbi Alvin Fine. To the living, death is a wound. Its name is grief. Its companion is loneliness. Whenever it comes, whatever its guise, even when there are no tears, death is a wound. But death belongs to life, as night belongs to day, as darkness belongs to light, As shadows belong to substance, as the fallen leaf belongs to the tree, death belongs to life. It is not our purpose to live forever. It is not only our purpose to live. It is no added merit that a man lived long. It is of merit only that his life was good. A poem, After My Death, by Chaim Bialik. Say this when you mourn for me. There was a man, and look, he is no more. He died before his time. The music of his life suddenly stopped, a pity. There was another song in him. Now it is lost forever. A great pity. He had a violin, a living, speaking soul to which he uttered the secrets of his heart, making all its strings vibrate, save one he kept inviolate. Back and forth his supple fingers danced, one string alone remained entranced, still unheard. A pity. All its life that string quivered, silently shook, yearned for its song, its mate, as a heart saddens before its fate. Despite delay, it waited daily, mutely beseeching its savior lover, who lingered, loitered, tarried ever, and did not come. Great is the pain. There was a man, and look, he is no more. The music of his life suddenly stopped. There was another song in him. Now it is lost forever. And from the Israeli poet Zelda, each of us has a name given by God and given by our parents. Each of us has a name given by our stature and our smile and given by what we wear. Each of us has a name given by the mountains and given by our walls. Each of us has a name given by the stars and given by our neighbors. Each of us has a name given by our sins and given by our longing. Each of us has a name given by our enemies and given by our love. Each of us has a name given by our celebrations and given by our work. Each of us has a name given by the seasons and given by our blindness. Each of us has a name given by the sea and given by our death. Alan was known by many names and had the crown of a good name, the greatest honor that one can achieve, the rabbis taught. And we now miss each and every one of those names. We read in Psalm 150, Kol haneshama tehalel Yah, every living being praises God. Yet we can also understand these words as meaning that every breath is a praise to the eternal. As we breathe, with each breath, we help make the world complete. So let us take a moment now, as we enter a world that no longer feels complete, to breathe. To think of that which Alan helped to bring to this world, and to breathe in that essence, so that our spirits are infused with it. And then to breathe out that essence, so that it continues to fill this world. Please take a moment of breath and of silence.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasi Le'olam Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasi Le'olam Ki Adonai Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Ki Adonai Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Please join in. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tas תעשי לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תעשי לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תעשי לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תעשי לעולם. תעשי לעולם. תעשי לעולם.
We bring comfort through prayer, through our presence, in our silence, in our song. And we bring comfort by sharing our reminiscences, our memories, by recalling the one who has passed on. And in doing so, in our tradition, we understand that by speaking words about the one who has passed on, that in a way we make that person come alive again through our stories, through the words we speak. I know Rachel, Alan's daughter, has prepared words for this day, and she has asked a friend to recite them on her behalf. So I believe Megan Cummins was going to recite them, and she has them in hand.
Okay, thank you. My dad. He gave his best for his family and his community, and we are all the better for having known him. Dad was brilliant, a free thinker, someone who truly lived with joy. In high school, I used to answer my dad in response to any quiz bowl question to which I didn't know the answer. I'm pretty sure I once suggested that my dad was Bacchus, the Roman god of drinking, which is a million times funnier when you think about what a teetotaler dad was. After I graduated, the default answer to give at Quiz Bowl was still my dad, only the kids would say Rachel's dad. Trivia aside, my dad lived a good life filled with colorful stories. While my dad may not have actually done anything Quiz Bowl trivia worthy, he lived a good life. I'm pretty sure if you ever spent any time with Alan, he probably told you one or more of these stories himself. My dad was the kid of a grocery store manager and housewife in Passaic, New Jersey. He was a big brother who managed to not throttle his little sister for breaking all his model airplanes because they flew during the commercials. He kicked his first grade teacher when she tried to tie his left arm behind his back because in those days lefties were thought to be satanic. He read the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy in a day, much to the chagrin of my grandma, who kept asking him to take the garbage out. He graduated high school early and put himself through Cornell University, both undergraduate and grad school. While he was in college, he once caught mono and yawned so big he dislocated his jaw. His mouth was stuck open. If Dad were here, the irony would not be lost on him. His heart was so full and his smile so wide, he was often the first to laugh at himself and find the humor in every moment. Dad met my mom in a Jewish singles group. There was an ice skating party. Mom was good at ice skating. Dad was not. Mom picked my dad up, literally and figuratively. 2 weeks later, Dad proposed. Mom said no, obviously. But they kept dating, and a year later, they were married. I showed up about 4 years later and kept them up nights for the next 6 years. In fact, my dad never failed to remind me. I've also heard that one a few times. My dad taught me so many valuable life lessons. Not to push the reset button on his computer, erasing all his work in the pre-hard drive days just to make a ding noise. He taught me to build houses out of Legos. He taught me to do arithmetic. He taught me Alan Sherman's greatest hits. He taught me education. Dad, what's the capital of the Soviet Union? Look it up. He taught me the difference between American and British Cadbury chocolate, and if you spent any time at all with me, you know this is a big deal. And then Cadbury was sold to Hershey, messing up the recipe further and also putting Dad on the unemployment line for a time. This yielded the biggest lesson of all. That's when he taught me my work ethic. My Ivy League educated dad got a job at Radio Shack to put food on the table for Mom and me. He picked up extra shifts whenever asked. He was a top seller. It was a rough few years, I'm not gonna lie. When my dad finally got a steady job again, it was one that required travel 100% of the time. He loved to tell literally anyone and everyone who would listen about the wacky and far-flung places he'd been sent. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Winnemucca, Nevada, and Coatzacoalcos, Mexico. I did practice that. For a start, the Mexico assignment especially. Mom and I used to joke that we were going to put him on TV so that he could announce to everyone how happy he was to be back in the States all at once, and then we wouldn't have to hear him telling 8,000 people a day. It should be said that the words Winnemucca and Coatzacoalcos were still regularly present in his vocabulary to this day. Since Dad wasn't home as much as we would have liked, he had an 800 number we could call and reach him, and he was always there when it counted in whatever capacity he could be. My dad's health started failing when I was in college. He kept plugging away at the 24/7 travel job as long as he could, but about a decade ago, he just couldn't keep up that pace and maintain his health. His last assignment was with the government, and he commuted from my more daily. Then his kidneys failed, and he had to go retire to go on dialysis and disability. Here, I'd like to add that I offered my dad a kidney. He wouldn't let me give it to him because he worried that one day I'd go into kidney failure too, like him and his mother before him, and he felt I'd be better off with 2 half-functioning kidneys than 1. He would not leave genetics and heredity to chance. That's the kind of father he was. Throughout his retirement, Dad enjoyed volunteering. In Baltimore, he was the Volunteer of the Year at the Meyerberg Senior Center, where he helped all the older seniors learn to use their smartphones. After he moved here to Wilmington, he started volunteering at our synagogue food pantry, and he loved it. My friend told me the other day that when she saw him at the pantry there, he exuded joy. Dad used to say that volunteering helped him take his mind off his problems. Dad was a devoted grandpa, and this is the part for which I am most grateful. Dad's parents both died young, and I have felt their absence in my life. Knowing that Maddie will have wonderful memories of his dadu gives me a great deal of comfort. I'm here to tell you that my dad could be particular and didn't like anything except what he liked. But he did like YouTuber musicians and Hallmark movies and terrible puns. He was his own person, and you couldn't make him enjoy anything he didn't choose for himself. I will also say my dad believed wholeheartedly in Judaism as a system of ethics, and it was integral to his identity. He could find connections and themes in the most unusual places. The last non-Hallmark movie he enjoyed was Black Panther, because it is all about Hillel's principles. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what then am I? And if not now, when? Thinking back to childhood, he made me carry that quote around in my day planner as a student. Judaism informed his entire worldview, his politics, his parenting, etc. Looking at the last few months of posts on his Facebook, and well, you'll see where I got my penchant for outspoken political posts. My dad may not have been the answer to all trivia questions, but his strong sense of self, free spirit, sharp wit, and generous, loving heart provided us the answer to many questions people search for over a lifetime. He gave his all for his family and his community, and we are all the better for having known him. I'll miss you so much, Dadu.
If you looked at the moon last night and saw it in its fullness, you would know that we are in the middle of the Jewish month of Elul, counting the days to Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And it is during this time that we are supposed to hear the sound of the shofar in anticipation of that new year, and we're supposed to recite the words of Psalm 27. One verse of it, perhaps the most famous verse, reads, Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai, ota avakesh. Shivti bevet Adonai kol yemei chayai, lachazot benoam Adonai, ulevaker behechalo. One thing I ask of the Eternal. Only that do I seek. To live in the house of the Eternal all the days of my life. To gaze upon the beauty of the Eternal, to frequent God's temple. We recite this now during this time of the year as we walk toward the new year, toward our time of judgment, as a reminder of what is most important. The ethical teacher Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, sometimes called the Ramchal, points out that all too often we forget what is most important in life and we allow ourselves to be distracted. As we move toward Rosh Hashanah, Psalm 27 calls us to remember what is truly good and what our purpose in life really is. Perhaps this is an unusual text to bring up for someone like Alan, for whom the idea of God was more a question mark than an exclamation point. But I would argue that Alan had a laser-like focus on what is most important in life. He lived each day informed by his Jewish values and sought only the good. Alan grew up knowing his genetic cards were stacked against him. As we heard a moment ago, he watched his parents and his sister die, each at a relatively young age. He himself would survive 6 heart attacks in his life, going back to 2001 when Rachel was in college. This might leave a person resigned to their fate or left with a sense of doom. Alan refused to live in such a way. He would often repeat, especially recently, that you may not like the choices you have, but you have choices. And he would choose life. And he did everything he could to stick around as long as he could. And as we heard, he chose life and also chose living. He was not going to merely exist. He loved old school science fiction and Tolkien, loved to write alternative histories, and was passionate about working out in his mind, what if? Alan, as many of us know, was a character. A capital C, bold print, and italicized character. One example was his dress code. The cargo shorts of vests were his choice. He loved wearing vests, but not any vest, like a fisherman would wear, with pockets and pockets. He probably had 6 of those or 7 of those in his closet, and he loved wearing them. He was who he was, as we heard, and he was never going to change. He was going to march to the beat of his own drum, no matter how offbeat that drum beat might be. Alan was the kind of guy who would get on a thing and would tell anyone about that thing and would pursue that thing to its logical conclusion. As an example, slide rules. Slide rules, those manual calculators of a bygone era that were an important part of his life as a student, his early career, an important part of his identity. And he wanted to show his grandson no slouch in the math department back in the day, except good luck finding a slide rule. You can't buy one anywhere, which for the rest of us would be the end of it, but not for Alan. I suppose he could have tried to borrow one or showed Maddie a picture, but that wouldn't have been good enough either. He proceeded to make a slide rule by hand. And he didn't just stop at one. He continued to work on them, perfecting his technique on hand-creating slide rules. And of course, he wouldn't just make them. He had to tell everyone who would listen about his project. Everyone didn't just stop at the friends and family and neighbors, mind you. If you were with him at dialysis or in the checkout line, or you were a stranger on the street, pretty much anyone would get to hear about the project. And it was always this way for Alan. As we heard in Rachel's words, whatever he was doing, he had to tell the world. This was true, as we heard, of politics. He had to share his feelings, and he posted to Facebook with enthusiasm. But what you can't tell from the social media posts is that he wouldn't type. Speaking, perhaps shouting, his criticisms of quote unquote, this is a direct quote here, Don the Con, which actually sounds much more cathartic than typing away on a keyboard. He could be a grumpy old man, but he was our grumpy old man. Rabbi Benjamin Scharf, who was Alan and Eileen's rabbi from Baltimore, texted me and recalled that he was a cantankerous pain in his tuchus and such a delight. Because even with his acerbic quick wit, he had this profound capacity for kindness. He was the extroverted introvert who really cared about making everyone's day better. And he strove every day to make everyone's day better. While I mentioned before his agnosticism and the fact that prayer wasn't exactly his thing, he loved profoundly being involved in the Jewish community, and he loved volunteering, as we heard. As demanding as his work was, he was always trying to give back. We heard before about his volunteer work at the senior center in Baltimore, but this even goes back to volunteering at the homeless shelter in Danbury, Connecticut, escorting Muslim women to keep them safe after 9/11, and of course here at our Joseph's Pantry, even as recently as the night before he passed. He took a lot of pride and care into the work he did helping others, living his Jewish values. Community, tikkun olam, mattered to him, and he took it to heart. And as he said, and as was said before, as someone who felt burdened by his health and limited ability, volunteering helped him focus on others instead of his own sorrows. And he focused on others. He was utterly devoted to his family, to Rachel and Eileen and Adam and Maddie. Eileen called him her partner. That years ago she told her friends she was looking for a nice Jewish boy who would help her raise the kids in a Jewish home, who would help teach Judaism, and was willing to do that work together, and that's what you did. They were a team. Alan never discussed his own feelings with Eileen, but dutifully went to services with her and Rachel as she was growing up, praying in the synagogue with everyone else. He was at every single one of Rachel's recitals, at every play, at every concert. And there were a few of those. Sometimes he would drive from wherever he was, Binghamton, New York, wherever, one of those places that was listed before, hours and hours and hours to be at the show, get back in the car, and drive all those hours back to be ready for work the next day. And he was utterly devoted to his late sister, Roberta. Throughout her adult life, he gave her everything and anything she asked for, supported and sustained her, even tried at one point to have her move in with them, caring for her to the end. He loved everything he shared, all the commonalities he shared with Adam, and the chance to be present in Maddie's life. One thing I ask of the eternal, only that do I seek. Alan sought to live, to devote himself to family and his community and helping others, to frequent God's temple and improve God's world, and make each day a delight, all the days of his life. May we be inspired by his choices, his devotion, his companionship. And may the memory of his days be a blessing to us all, as we say, Amen. God, you give us loved ones and make them the strength of our life, the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us bereft on a lonely way, but you are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow-laden for consolation. O God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures as you, O God, endure forever. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade, that we have a timeless pattern in a world that is the dwelling place of your love and glory. As you are able to do so, I invite you to rise for El Malei Rachamim.
El Malei Rachamim shochen b'amromim Amsel minacha nechona תחת כנפיך שכינה, עם קרושים וטהורים, כי זוהר הרקיע מזהירי. הנשבע שכנה אשר ברוך הכהן בן חיים הכהן וחנה שהלך לעולמו בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרוך החיים את נשמתו אדוני הוא נחלתו בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Alan Cohen, Shachna Asher Baruch ben Chaim HaKohen V'Chana, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. We express our gratitude to Reese Ratliff, our youth group president, for helping lead music for this memorial service. If you did not have the opportunity to sign the register book upon entering the sanctuary this afternoon, you are welcome to do so at the conclusion of this service. If you are traveling to Beth Emeth Memorial Park in procession, please be sure to use your high beam headlights and your four-way emergency flashers. We will be leaving here at the conclusion of the service to there for final interment. Shiva will be observed at 7 p.m. tonight, tomorrow night, and Tuesday night at the late residence, 1410 William Penn Lane in Wilmington. The following individuals are designated as pallbearers. When you hear your name, please come forward. If I mispronounce your name, my apologies. Adam Michel, Richard Michel, Adam Greenspan, Alan Shaver, Matt Cole, Ashley Cloud, Rich Litwin, Alan Von Welton, and as honorary pallbearers, Martin Lavender and Fred Handelman.